in order to have the personal injury case, you've got to be able to show some actual economic damages that are substantial. Now, when you take that elements of the personal injury case and then broaden it, it's making more specific, and now we have to prove a brain injury case. You have to start with proving the brain injury. If you're talking about a severe brain injury, that's simple. There are other parts of being in a severe brain injury case that are much more difficult than mild brain injury and require considerably more expertise in the lawyer than even a mild brain injury does. But most brain injury cases are mild brain injury cases. And the key to every mild brain injury case is you've got to be able to prove that there actually was a brain injury. That seems simple. You've got a diagnosis of brain injury, but it's really not, because the defense has gotten very sophisticated over the last 20 years at finding ways to confuse and misdirect the jury to get them to think that, in fact, this is just all made up, or it was minor, it was nothing more than, shaking it off like a football player might do. You've got to start a brain injury case with a good diagnosis. And many times that hasn't been done. Now, if it hasn't been done, it may be that it can't be done. But sometimes there's evidence in those records that make the chance of proving it better. Plus, we've gotten better neuroimaging now. Neuropsychologists, if you get a good one, are better at seeing it. But you've really got to get over that hurdle that this person actually did suffer a brain injury. If you can get over that hurdle, the rest of the case is not as difficult. Because once people believe that someone actually suffered a brain injury and that they continue to have problems after the first few weeks, then their attitudes about how serious it can be does change. So once you've established the brain injury, now you have to turn to where are the actual losses that come from this. Now, the first area of loss is going to be the medical bills themselves, usually not that hard to prove. Then you have to turn to, is there a vocational loss? Is this person all better and able to go off to law school like I did, or some other profession, and do well? Or are they lingering? Are they having frequent job losses? Are they having a hard time finishing school? Or even if they finish school, are they unable to transfer the skills they learn in school into the workplace? Do they have difficult time getting along with coworkers? There's a whole detailed list of things that the Social Security Administration says that you must have in order to work, and people with lingering symptoms from brain injury often don't have those. If you're having difficulty with work, then your lawyer must hire a vocational expert to establish what's called the loss of earning capacity. You're not going to be able to get that evidence in front of a jury in most cases without an expert. We got a call last week of a case when the lawyer was calling us a month before trial, and there was a woman who was an older lady, and instead of, when she couldn't go back to work, she just took early retirement. And the lawyer had not actually hired a vocational expert on the theory that, well, she was only going to lose a few years. Well, that few years in reality was probably 10 years at whatever her income was. And that number very easily could be $500,000 or $1 million a year, depending on what the person was doing. The other aspect of the vocational loss that's often not thought of is that most people with brain injuries, and I'm hoping this doesn't apply to me, but most people with brain injuries have difficulty as they get older. They're more likely to have to retire early. And as a result of that, you have to look at not just whether they lost money that year, but whether they're likely to lose it in the future. And there are vocational experts who will be able to testify to a reasonable degree of probability that a person's career will be shortened because of the difficulties they have from a brain injury, even if it's only having a modest impact on their current income. Then the next phase of the damages, we call it the economic damages, establishing whether or not there are going to be health care needs in the future. And again, it's not just a question of whether there's going to be health care needs right now, but what the future needs are going to be. One of the most important elements of understanding what happens to people after a brain injury is understanding how difficult what we call community integration becomes. If you don't exercise your brain, it stops working. Interacting with human beings is exercise for your brain. We've done a lot of interviews of people on TBI Voices, and the common denominator of the people who do well versus the people who don't do well, the common denominator of those who do well is that they are back involved. They went back to work. They're back involved they've got a good family. They continue to have human contact and continue to be challenged. The brain injured person who doesn't get further challenges, it doesn't continue to rebuild those neural networks that are damaged in a brain injury, that person is going to have a poorer recovery. Many times the only way to get community integration, to get that challenge, to get those opportunities to get better, come with the assistance of someone who is a rehabilitation aide, a guide, a navigator, who will help the injured person day in, day out, get into the community, not just help them go to the bathroom, because most brain injured people don't have those kind of daily living problems. It's help them thrive, help them do as well as they were doing. I'm sure one of the reasons that I believe my cognitive health is as well as it is today is that I didn't stop. I kept working. I kept challenging myself. And after that, let's say 4 to 6 months period where I didn't do very much, I got back and went to school and stayed integrated with people. And that is the most difficult number to put on a case when you're doing it, but it may be the most important. And it can be a very large number, into the millions of dollars, depending on the needs of the person.